This week, one cruise line reversed a decision that had cruisers furious. But the way they handled it tells you something important about how these policies work. Another change to a brand new loyalty program has people wondering if they were sold a benefit that was never meant to last. One cruise line raised gratuities again, and a popular glacier stop is gone from Alaskan itineraries. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. If you've been following the drama around Norwegian's drink package at Great Stirrup Key, here's an update. And it's actually a good one, but of course with a little caveat. Now, if you didn't hear this, a few weeks ago, Norwegian quietly, because that's what cruise lines do these days, they try to sneak things in, but they quietly updated their policy so that the free at sea drink package would no longer cover beverages at Great Stirrup Key, which is their private island in the Bahamas. Now, cruisers started finding out the hard way when their key cards were declined at the bar. There was no announcement, there was no email, just a policy change buried in the booking terms and conditions. So obviously cruisers were furious, and rightfully so in my opinion, because the drink package is one of the biggest selling points of the free at sea promotion. Now the good news here, Norwegian has walked it back. As of a travel agent webinar on March 18th, Norwegian confirmed that the free at sea beverage package has been extended indefinitely to cover Great Stirrup Key. The island has been removed as a package exclusion on their website, and travel agents have confirmed that guests do not need to upgrade to the premium free at sea plus package to drink on the island. So that's really good news, obviously, but here's why it still matters. The fact that Norwegian tried this at all tells you something about the direction that these cruise lines are going with their policies. They tested a significant reduction in what included means, waited to see if the backlash, they knew there was going to be backlash, but how bad the backlash was going to be, and then they reversed course when the backlash was pretty significant. Now, that's not a company that made a dumb decision. It happens in corporate America every single day, but it's not just oh, we made a wrong policy, let's walk it back. That's a company that decided the timing was wrong, and the next time a change like that shows up in the fine print, it might actually stick around. Now, if you're sailing Norwegian with a Great Stirrup Key stop, your drink package will work on the island. That is confirmed as of recently. But this whole episode is a great reminder to always double check what your packages actually cover before you board, and screenshot, keep those receipts, because the terms can change between when you book and when you sail. And Norwegian, as we've learned here, they're not always going to give you a heads up about it. So I want to know, have you been to Great Stirrup Key recently? And did you get caught by this before they reversed it, or did everything work out fine? I want to hear all about it. And while we're talking Norwegian pulling things back, here's another change that's frustrating a lot of loyal cruisers, and this one has not been reversed. Now, back in September, Norwegian launched a cross-brand loyalty recognition program across their 3 cruise lines, Norwegian, Oceania, and Regent Seven Seas. And this is similar to what we're seeing with like Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Silversea. The idea here is that if you have status with one brand, it will transfer when you sailed on another brand in the same family or sister companies, right? So it was genuinely appealing as an incentive to stay within the NCL Holdings ecosystem rather than jumping to a competitor. And a lot of people book sailings on Oceania or Regent partly because of the promise of matching their Norwegian status. Well, that program, it's barely 5 months old, and they've already downgraded the matching. Man, these cruise lines are killing me with the way they just cut things back in nickel and dime. And this is another example. As of March 16th, top tier members are being matched to lower tiers when crossing brands. NCL Ambassador members, which is their highest loyalty tier, they now match to Diamond on Oceania, and that's down from President Circle, and Titanium on Regent is a downgrade from Commodore. Now, the pattern is consistent across the board. Wherever you cross, you're landing at a lower level than what you were promised when the program first launched. Now, here's the thing with this. Loyalty programs only work when they feel like they're rewarding you for staying, and we can take a lot of notes out of Carnival's book for this because they have absolutely screwed the pooch with the way they've handled their VIFP upgrade. When a company launches a benefit, they use it to attract bookings across their brands, and then they quietly sneak in downgrades just a few months later. It stops feeling like loyalty and it starts feeling like a freaking bait and switch. The cruisers who booked Oceania or Regent sailings partly because of the status match, well, they're now boarding with less than what they expected, and the bookings were already made. So if you've been planning to try a different Norwegian Holdings brand because of that cross-brand promotion, it's important to call and ask specifically what you'll receive before you book, because the answer might be different than what you saw when the program launched, and that difference might actually change your decision. Now, the pattern between these 2 stories is worth paying attention to. Norwegian tested pulling drink coverage at their own island. They downgraded their loyalty program that's barely half a year old. One got reversed because of backlash. The other has not. Both were made quietly under the radar, and both are more examples of the nickel and diming. They shrink the value of something that cruisers were already counting on, and in some cases were already promised. And that's the kind of ship that means as cruisers, we gotta be reading the fine print a lot more carefully before we click confirm, before we give these cruise lines our hard-earned dollar, because what we booked and what we've been promised is not always the same thing anymore. Now, here is a big one if you've been following the proposed cruise terminal near Tampa in terms of other downgrades, a little bit of a different downgrade. But on March 19th, Governor DeSantis signed Senate Bill 302, which effectively kills the project. The bill grants protections to the aquatic preserve and prohibits the dredging that would have been required to build the terminal. It did pass in the Florida Senate unanimously 38-0. Now, the proposal was from SSA Marine, which is a private company that wanted to build a new cruise terminal on the Gulf side of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. The idea was to accommodate the larger cruise ships that physically can't fit under the bridge to reach Port Tampa Bay. There's a reason why this is a smaller port. Not many cruise lines sail out of here. Ships like Royal Caribbean's Oasis class and Icon class vessels, they're just simply way too tall for the bridge clearance, which has limited the size of the ships that can sail from Tampa, which has kept some of the cruise lines away from Tampa. With this bill signed into law now, a second terminal that could handle those bigger ships, well, it's now off the table for the foreseeable future. Port Tampa Bay itself is still moving forward with its own $1.2 billion Master Plan 2030, including new terminal construction and upgrades. So Tampa is not losing its cruise port, but if you've been waiting around, if you're local to Tampa, you've been itching for those mega ships to start sailing, well, it's not gonna happen. The current terminal and its ship size limitations, it's what you got. Now, a few other things happened this week that are worth chatting about. Holland America line, I love this cruise line. It's the old people cruise line, but I freaking love it. Holland America, unfortunately, has canceled all of its Tracy Arm scenic cruising days on all of its 2026 Alaskan voyages, and not just several itineraries, I'm talking all of them. They're replacing Tracy Arm with Endicott Arm, where passengers will view Dawes Glacier instead. Now, the reason goes beyond general ice concerns. In August 2025, there was a massive landslide near South Sawyer Glacier that sent millions of cubic feet of rock and debris into the fjord, triggering what researchers described as a localized tsunami. And that event fundamentally changed the navigability of Tracy Arm for the larger cruise ships. So if you booked a Holland America cruise in Alaska specifically because of Tracy Arm, make sure you check your updated itinerary. And if glacier viewing is the reason you're going to Alaska in the first place, don't worry, because Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier, I've taken a few Alaskan cruises, they're all stunning. It's just a different experience, but a glacier's a glacier and they're all beautiful. Now, it wouldn't be cruise news without puking and pooping and pooping and puking. It happens on cruise ships. They are floating petri dishes. I readily admit this. Well, I just did an interview with Fox 32 Chicago to talk about this. I was not on this cruise ship, but I was on a Holland America Rotterdam, Panama Canal cruise a couple months ago that did have a CDC norovirus outbreak. This one, however, is on Star Princess. They had a norovirus outbreak on a recent voyage. According to the CDC, 141 passengers and 52 crew members reported illness out of 4,300 guests and about 1,600 crew on board. Princess did respond with enhanced sanitation protocols and additional medical staff. They did all the stuff that they do, but this bears repeating, wash your hands, people, and not just hand sanitizer, because I learned this when I was researching after I was on a cruise that was plagued by norovirus. Hand sanitizer actually doesn't kill norovirus pretty much at all, so you gotta hand wash. And a lot of cruisers are not great about this. I'm a pretty avid hand washer. I observe it's pretty sad how few cruisers actually make use of hand washing stations that are right there in the dining areas. So please, please, please wash your hands. Oh, and get your travel insurance. I tell you this every week. I have a guide to travel insurance for cruisers. I'll drop it below. I don't care where you get it, how you get it, who you get it, what, just get it. Now, let's talk about another nickel and diming situation, because this one, stays on my nerves. Every day you turn around, cruise lines are gouging us. And it's Carnival. I love you, Carnival, but I hate you sometimes, Carnival. And they did just announce another gratuity increase taking effect in April. Standard cabins are gonna go from $16 to $17 per person per day. Suite guests are gonna go from $18 to $19. Now, admittedly, Carnival hasn't raised prices for gratuities in a while. This is their first increase in about 3 years. So it's not exactly a shock, but it does add up quickly, and it continues to contribute, again, that boiled frog principle, to all of these costs and increases that cruise lines keep piling onto cruisers while simultaneously cutting back on the things that we get. Now, if you look at the math, this means that on a 7-night cruise for 2 in a standard cabin, it's about an extra $14 for the week. Not earth-shattering, but for a family of 4, it's $28 more than you budgeted. They also bumped Bottomless Bubbles, their unlimited soda package, up 26% from $9.50 per day to almost $12 per day. And that one stings a little bit more, especially for families who rely on it. Now, if you're sailing Carnival after April 2nd, you can prepay gratuities right now, lock it in at the lower price. It's worth doing before the deadline. And I will say kudos to Carnival for not sneaking this one in quietly. They've done that before. Other cruise lines, as we've just discussed, like to sneak this stuff in too. But it is nice when they roll out an increase, when they give us cruisers a heads up so we can lock in the current lower prices before they take effect. Now, let's circle back to the need for medical insurance on a cruise. A 64-year-old British passenger was medevaced from Royal Caribbean's Star of the Seas. I'll actually be on that ship in April, very much looking forward to it. But this incident happened on March 9th. It was about 200 nautical miles northwest of Puerto Rico. The U.S. Coast Guard sent a Jayhawk helicopter to the rescue. Now, details on the medevac have not been released, but the passenger was reportedly transported to a hospital in Puerto Rico. And stories like this are a reminder that when you're in the middle of the ocean, you can be hours away from the nearest hospital. Your medical insurance, most cases, do not cover medevacs, and medevacs are $20,000 to $50,000. Yes, tens of thousands of dollars. So for me, my need for travel insurance is primarily because I'm scared of a medevac. Hopefully I never have one, and if I do, I don't want it to financially wreck me. So again, I got a travel insurance guide for cruisers. You know where to find it, and stay safe and stay healthy out there, cruisers.